So there's a pretty well-known role that you played with the band, and that was the guy that kind of helped keep the Wild Boys in line. You know,
Somewhat.
somewhat as much as you could, as much as any human could, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could talk about that because that was almost like a favor with Ronnie. That he was like, "Hey, can you just kind of help me keep these guys a little bit on the straight and narrow?"
Yeah, that came in late '76, but the ball started to get rolling in '75. I can't remember what month it was, but he called me up and said, "Hey man, get over here quick." And I was ironworking. I was working down in Palatka building the powerhouses down there. And he says, "Hey man," he said, "Mick Jagger that Stones need a bodyguard, somebody that they can really, really trust." And Ronnie's manager, Peter Rubs, worked for the Rolling Stones. And he says, "Can you do it?" I went, "Yeah, sure, man." So he said, fly up to New York. And he said, first, he said, make sure you got a gun. I said, "What?" "You just do what I tell you." And he said, anyway. So I talked with him and flew up to New York and we talked. And they needed a bodyguard, somebody that they could trust, because they was having some trouble with a couple of, they didn't know it, but I figured it out right quick, a couple of their employees, temporary employees. Let's just go ahead and say limo drivers. And so I figured that out right quick, like. And so I did the tour of the Americas with the Stones for a period of time until the Stones rocked too hard for Gino to stay up too many hours and stuff like that. But and after that, I come home. He says, he said, "We're gonna start making some big money. We're making good money now, but we're gonna start this. I'm gonna get you to be our security for me, my bodyguard, and security for the band." And so in '76, late '76, he called me up. I think we went fishing, and he said, he said, "You working?" I said, "No, I'm laid off right now, in between jobs. You know how union jobs are." And yeah, he said, "Well, man," he said, "it's time for you to come to work for me and be my bodyguard security, and I want you to clean us up and get us off of this shit we're on and take care of us and straighten us up. And we're going to Europe, so you have your passport?" I said, I don't think so. I have to get one." I said, "But I can't go to Europe right now anyway because I have a lawsuit. I have a union lawsuit that I have to be a part of." And he said, "All right, we'll come back from Europe." And he says, so they went to Europe and they came back early '77. And he says, call me up. We got together, went to get something to eat or drink or something. And so, all right. And he says, "I want you to come to work for us doing everything." And I'm thinking, gosh, man, I don't really know if I want to do that. I said, because you bands break up all the time and you hippies, break up all the time. And I said, I got a pension. I'll have a pension here in 10 years. He said, "Man," he said, "you take care of us." He says, and he said, I'll make you rich." And so I came to work for him and bodyguard and security for the band and straightened them up, sobered them up for sure. And the cocaine was next. And then we had the damn airplane crash and the end of that. But that's the story about going to work for them and the Stones and Skynyrd and two of the biggest rock bands in the world I happen to be a little part of,
So how big of a task was it to keep them off of that stuff? Because I'm sure they snuck stuff,
Well, yeah, there was people around, but the first thing he said, the first thing is going to be the booze. You got to do the booze. And the other stuff will be a little bit more difficult, but you got to help us. And so nobody knew this but me and Ronnie. And so let's say the band, every band, sound check, 4 o'clock. That's usually when it starts. Them hippies get up about that time and they go to the show for sound check. And there's all kind of booze laid out, whiskey, champagne, wine, everything you can think of laid out. And so then they start drinking, and then the crew is already there, and they're already drinking. And then the band comes through, and so then when sound check's over, on the way out, they get them a drink or two, have whatever, and then head to the hotel to get ready to come back for the show. Then at the hotel, before they come out to get in the limos or whatever, they're at the bar drinking. And then when they come to the show, they start drinking. And then there's a few drinks on stage. So drink. So what I started doing was going to at sound check, I would go before the band come in there, and I would take bottles and give them to security people or police officers, or give them away, or wrap them in towels and put them in a bag and bring them back to my room. And I brought hundreds of bottles back and give them to this police officer friend of mine. Dom Perignon, champagne, all kind of stuff. So I started doing that. So what I did is, let's say there was 10 bottles there. I'd cut back to 5 bottles. So when the crew started drinking and everybody started drinking, there wasn't that much there for them to drink. And I kept doing that, kept weaning them down, and then it was California. Day on the Green. About 100,000 people. They just kicked Peter Frampton's ass. And they came off stage, and I'm in the area waiting for them to come down the stage to make sure nobody runs out or whatever. Here they come off stage, and Ronnie looks right at me, and he grabbed me by the neck, and I think he grabbed Alan Collins, and he went, man, he said, we just kicked the hell out of 100,000 people sober. We're stone cold sober. Looked at Alan and Gary and went, we're sober. We just played live in front of 100,000 people sober. We've never done it. You know, he said, man, this is cool, Gene. He says, you did this. This is cool as hell, man. Ronnie goes, keep it up, man. So later on that night, he said, you're doing great, man. He said, we got stuff to drink, but we're not drunk. We're not overdoing it. I said, that's the goal. And so he said, the other stuff will be a little bit harder. At that time, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be in the future. And he said, we're going to have to talk to an individual to have him help me help them. And so the plane crashed shortly later, and I didn't get a chance to talk to that guy till years later when they reformed or whatever. Then I got a chance to talk to that guy. And little did I know, that guy was actually helping them his own way. And when I realized that, my thought of him or how I would look at him or how I would approach him changed, because he was doing the right thing. And I was just going to make sure that it was done a more devastating, longer way. And that's probably not the right word. But the drugs would have been next. But they didn't have anybody like me that wanted to do that, except this other guy was helping them in his own way, but his own way was helpful and hurtful at the same time, because money, you know. But he was doing a good job, and so the plane crashed, and that stopped. But those same very people that survived that, they didn't stop. They just got more heavy, and the people around them were, it's hard to get off of cocaine when you got coke dealers working for you, and everybody around you is coke heads, and everybody's got, you know, it's hard to, if you don't have a person around that has to take control and to help them, the other people, you know, they just take advantage of them, and it was too bad. I couldn't help that then, you know, and the years later after that, I couldn't help them. You know, they were just out of control, and I stayed away from them as much as I could, and helping them was, you couldn't help them because there was too many people around them, and, you know, I don't know the right word to say, but the later years, say it is, you know, they survived up until a point, but they were always out of control. I did what I could do, you know, early on.